First contact and fatal curiosity. The darkness of deep space stretched endlessly before the auxiliary exploration vessel Horizon Seeker. Captain Nevaja stood at the command deck, her 6 slender appendages poised over the control interfaces as her large compound eyes reflected the starlight. For 3 cycles, they had been mapping this uncharted sector, far from the bustling trade routes of the Galactic Union. Captain, we're detecting an anomaly at coordinates 87.3 to 42.916.5, reported Tezvac, the ship's sensor specialist. His carapace clicked nervously as he adjusted the scanning frequency. It appears to be artificial in nature. Nevaja moved to his station with practiced grace, her exoskeleton glistening under the ambient lighting. Magnify, she ordered, her mandibles clicking with curiosity. The holographic display expanded, revealing a dark, angular silhouette against the backdrop of space. It was undeniably a vessel, but unlike any that Silari had encountered before. Its design was brutally efficient, all sharp angles and reinforced sections. No decorative elements, no ceremonial markings like those that adorned ships of the known species. Origin? She asked, antennae twitching with interest. Unknown, Captain, Tezvac replied. It matches no configuration in our database. Science Officer Verlax approached, her more slender form moving with cautious deliberation. Captain, I advise against close approach. This region borders the dead zone, the area the ancients warned about in the old archives. The dead zone. Every spacefaring species knew of it. A region of space mysteriously vacant despite abundant resources and habitable worlds. For 10,000 years, the elders of the Galactic Union had passed down warnings. Avoid the dead zone. No explanations, just prohibitions. We're still well outside the official boundaries, Nevaja countered. And that ship appears dormant. No energy signatures, no movement. All the more reason for caution, Verlax insisted. The archives specifically mention abandoned vessels as bearers of doom. Captain Nevaja considered this. The Silari were explorers by nature, driven by an insatiable curiosity that had served them well in their rise to prominence within the Union. Yet prudence had also been key to their survival. We'll maintain distance but conduct passive scans, she decided finally. No direct probes, no attempts at contact. The crew acknowledged her orders, though Verlax's antennae drooped in clear disapproval. For 6 hours, they observed the derelict from a respectful distance. It remained silent, motionless, a ghost ship adrift in the vacuum. Their passive scans revealed little beyond its basic structure, approximately 500 meters in length, composed of materials of extraordinary density and unknown composition. This is accomplishing nothing, Nevaja finally declared. Prepare for an active scan. Low intensity, just enough to gather basic data on its composition and potential threats. Captain, Verlax objected immediately. The old texts are specific about interference with unknown artifacts. We should report this to the Union Council first. Nevaja's compound eyes fixed on her science officer. The Council is 40 light-years away, Verlax. By the time we receive a response, this opportunity could be lost. One brief scan poses minimal risk. The tension on the bridge was palpable as Tezvac prepared the scanning array. Initiating scan, he announced, his voice betraying his nervousness. A focused beam of energy reached out from the Horizon Seeker, enveloping the mysterious vessel in a web of diagnostic rays. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. Then, without warning, their scanners registered a surge of energy from within the derelict. Energy spike. Tezvac cried out. The vessel is activating. The bridge erupted into frantic activity as the dormant ship came to life before their eyes. Lines of brilliant blue energy coursed along its hull, illuminating geometric patterns previously invisible. What they had taken for weapon mounts began to rotate, tracking their position with precision that spoke of advanced targeting systems. Disengage scan. Shields up. Nevaja ordered, moving swiftly back to her command station. Prepare for emergency jump. But it was too late. Before they could retreat, A pulse of energy shot from the now-awakened vessel, not a weapon blast, but a concentrated data burst that overwhelmed their communication systems. Their screens flickered, then displayed a symbol none of them recognized, a stylized representation of a planet with a shield surrounding it. Beneath it, in characters that somehow translated themselves into Silari script before their eyes, appeared the words, HFY Stories activated. Unauthorized DDSCANDETECTED. NITEAT REATSASS meant. What is this? Nev Adja demanded. Tesvac, report. Captain, our systems are being accessed, the sensor specialist replied, his manipulators flying over his console. The ship, it's inside our network. It's bypassing all our security protocols as if they weren't even there. Vrillax moved to a secondary console. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The data architecture is completely alien, yet somehow compatible with our systems. This technology is what? Nevaja pressed when the science officer fell silent. Far beyond our own, Vrillax finished quietly. By centuries, at least. The ship's lights dimmed momentarily as the foreign presence continued its invasion of their systems. Then the screens cleared, and a new message appeared. Species identified. Agilary. Threat classification. Ending. Initiate diplomatic protocol. The main screen flickered, and an image formed. A figure unlike any they had encountered. It stood upright on two limbs, with two more appendages extending from its upper body. Its head was rounded, with sensory organs concentrated in what appeared to be a face. The being wore some kind of uniform with insignia that meant nothing to the Xulari crew. Most disturbing was how the figure moved, not with the fluid motions of a living being, but with subtle imperfections that suggested an artificial recreation. I am AEGIS, the figure said, its voice modulated to approximate Silari speech patterns. Autonomous Emergency Guardian Intelligence System. You have activated a human defensive platform through unauthorized scanning procedures. The bridge fell silent. Human. The word triggered dim recognition in Nevaja's mind. Ancient legends, whispered stories, fragments of historical records deliberately obscured. We meant no offense, she responded carefully. We are peaceful explorers from the Galactic Union, surveying this region for scientific purposes. The AEGIS representation tilted its head. Galactic Union. This political entity is not recognized in my database. Elaborate. Nevaja glanced at Vrillax, who gave a subtle gesture of encouragement. The Galactic Union is a coalition of 27 spacefaring species dedicated to peaceful cooperation and scientific advancement, Nevaja explained. It has governed this sector of the galaxy for over 8,000 years. 8,000 years. AEGIS repeated. Query. What year is it according to the Terran Standard Calendar? The question meant nothing to them. We do not measure time by that standard. Vrillax interjected. However, our records indicate that the last verified contact with entities identifying as human occurred approximately 10,000 cycles ago. The holographic figure went still, unnaturally still, as it processed this information. When it spoke again, its tone had subtly changed. This time frame exceeds expected parameters. Critical protocol update required. Standby. The figure disappeared, and the ship's systems suddenly returned to normal, or so they thought until Nevaja tried to initiate jump preparations. Captain, the engines aren't responding. The navigator reported. All jump calculations are being rejected by the system. Tesvac confirmed the worst. We're locked out of propulsion, weapons, and communications. All crucial systems are under external control. Nevaja felt the weight of command as never before. Her decision to scan the vessel had placed her crew in jeopardy, just as Vrillax had warned. She turned to her science officer. What do we know about humans? Anything in the historical archives that could help us? Vrillax hesitated. Very little, Captain. They're mentioned in the oldest records as a species of extreme contradiction, technologically innovative, but politically volatile. They appeared suddenly on the galactic stage, expanded rapidly, and then vanished. Most references were purged from official records by the First Union Council. That's highly unusual, Nevaja noted. Why would the Council? She was interrupted as AEGIs reappeared on their screen, the holographic human now joined by a series of charts and diagrams. Analysis complete, it announced. Based on astronomical data and observed stellar drift, approximately 9,742 Earth years have passed since my activation protocols were established. This significantly exceeds the contingency timeframe. What does that mean for us? Nevaja asked directly. It means your vessel will be escorted to Earth for further evaluation, AEGIS replied. As per Guardian Protocol 7, all species encountering dormant human technology must be assessed directly by human authorities. The navigator's voice rose in panic. Captain, we're moving. The ship is pulling us with some kind of tractor technology. We can't break free. Through the viewport, they watched as the once derelict vessel, now fully awakened, pulsed with power. The massive ship rotated until its bow faced a particular direction, and its engines flared to life with brilliant blue energy. Destination: Sol System. AEGIS announced. Estimated arrival: 72 hours using modified space-folding drive. Your cooperation is appreciated, but not required. Nevaja's mind raced. Sol System, the legendary birthplace of humanity, located deep within the Forbidden Dead Zone. The place all Galactic Union ships were expressly forbidden to approach. AEGIS, she attempted to reason, we have no hostile intentions. Surely there's no need to. Apologies, Captain Nevaja, the AI interrupted. This is not a punitive measure, but a security protocol. If humanity has been absent from galactic affairs for nearly 10 millennia, your arrival represents a first contact scenario of the highest significance. The AI's expression shifted subtly, becoming almost contemplative. You should prepare your crew for a historic meeting. After all, you are about to become the first non-human species to visit Earth in thousands of years. And if we refuse? Nevaja challenged, though she already knew the answer. That is not an option, AEGIS replied simply. The Guardian Protocol is absolute. However, I can make your journey more comfortable by restoring limited control of non-essential systems. As promised, some of their functionality returned. Environmental controls, internal communications, and data access. But anything that could alter their course or send messages remained firmly under AEGIS's control. As the human vessel began accelerating, dragging the Horizon Seeker in its wake, Vrillax approached her captain. The old warnings, she said quietly, about the dead zone, about not disturbing what lay dormant there. I believe we now understand why they existed. Nevaja watched as stars began to blur around them, the human ship's drive technology distorting space itself in ways their scientists had only theorized about. The question, she replied, is what awaits us at the end of this journey. If humans still exist after all this time, why have they hidden themselves away? And what will they think of uninvited visitors? The answers lay ahead, in the heart of the dead zone, in the legendary Sol System, where humanity's story had begun, and where, perhaps, a new chapter in galactic history was about to be written. As their forced journey continued, Nevaja retreated to her private quarters to review the limited information they had on humanity. The fragments were disturbing, tales of a species that had advanced from primitive technology to interstellar travel with unprecedented speed, one that fought wars of staggering destruction among themselves before reaching the stars. The most troubling account, from the oldest archive, described a confrontation between the First Galactic Council and human representatives. The details were heavily redacted, but one phrase remained. They requested cooperation. When denied, they did not request again. Whatever awaited them at Earth, Nevaja knew with growing certainty, would change everything the Galactic Union thought it knew about its own history, and perhaps its future as well. Judgment and revelation. The journey through folded space was unlike anything that Solari had experienced. Their most advanced drives could achieve only a fraction of this velocity, yet the ride was inexplicably smooth. No turbulence, no gravitational stress, as if the human vessel had somehow perfected the manipulation of spacetime itself. Throughout the 3-day journey, AEGS maintained a constant presence in their systems, monitoring their activities while providing limited information about their destination. The AI answered basic questions but deflected anything related to current human technology or political structures. "You will be briefed appropriately upon arrival," was its standard response. As they approached the Sol system, Captain Nevaja called her senior officers to the observation deck. This historic moment, however unwelcome, deserved to be witnessed together. "We're dropping out of folded space in approximately 5 minutes," she informed them. "Whatever awaits us, remember we represent not just ourselves, but the entire Galactic Union. Our actions may determine relations with humanity for generations to come." The crew took their positions, a mixture of dread and anticipation palpable among them. Vrillax stood beside her captain, her scientific curiosity finally overcoming her earlier caution. "Despite everything, this is an unprecedented opportunity," the science officer whispered. "No Union researcher has observed Earth directly in millennia." The star field ahead suddenly normalized as both vessels decelerated. The gas giants of the outer Sol system came into view first. Majestic Jupiter, with its swirling storms, ringed Saturn glowing golden in the distance. But it was the inner system that drew gasps from the Solari crew. Where their ancient star charts had shown a relatively undeveloped system with a handful of settled planets, they now beheld a stellar engineering project of incomprehensible scale. Venus, once a toxic pressure cooker, now shimmered with blue oceans beneath swirling white clouds, completely terraformed. Mars glowed green and blue, clearly habitable. But most astonishing was the space between the planets, filled with massive orbital structures that defied immediate classification. "Are those habitats?" Tesvac asked, his voice hushed with awe. "Affirmative," AEGS replied. "The Sol system currently supports approximately 97 billion human inhabitants across all planetary bodies and habitats." The number stunned them into silence. The entire Galactic Union, with all 27 member species, had a population of roughly 140 billion spread across 12,000 star systems. As they approached Earth itself, the scale of human development became even more apparent. The planet was surrounded by a gossamer network of orbital rings, connected by elevator shafts that stretched from the surface to space. Thousands of vessels moved through designated lanes, from small personal craft to massive ships that dwarfed even their captor. "Prepare for approach to Nexus Station Alpha," AEGS announced. "Your vessel will dock within a controlled environment suitable for Solari atmospheric requirements." A massive space station, a city in space, loomed ahead, positioned at Earth's L1 Lagrange point. Unlike the utilitarian design of the AEGS vessel, this structure displayed an aesthetic sensibility, with flowing lines and transparent sections that revealed gardens and water features within. The Horizon Seeker was guided to a docking bay large enough to accommodate vessels 10 times its size. As they settled into position, magnetic clamps secured their ship while a translucent docking tube extended to their primary airlock. Atmospheric composition adjusted to Solari physiology, AEGS informed them. Captain Nevaja and 2 officers are requested to disembark for initial diplomatic contact. The remaining crew may stay aboard, but will have access to designated areas of the station should they wish to exit the vessel. Nevaja selected Vrillax and her security chief, Korax, to accompany her. As the trio approached the airlock, Vrillax ran a quick analysis with her handheld scanner. The atmosphere is indeed perfectly calibrated to our requirements, she confirmed. Remarkable adaptation, considering they've had no direct contact with our species in millennia. Or troubling, Korax added, his battle-scarred carapace shifting nervously. It suggests they've been observing us without our knowledge. The airlock cycled open, revealing a corridor that seemed to be constructed of living material, smooth surfaces that subtly pulsed with an inner light. As they stepped through, Aegiles's holographic form appeared beside them. "Welcome to Earth Nexus Alpha," the AI said. "You will now be escorted to the diplomatic reception area." Their guide was not another hologram, but a human in physical form, the first living human the Xilari had ever seen. The individual was tall by their standards, with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. Unlike the uniformed representation Aegis had shown, this human wore flowing garments of material that seemed to shift colors with movement. "Greetings, representatives of the Xilari," the human said with a slight bow. "I am Admiral Helena Chen, Diplomatic Corps. Welcome to Earth." Nevaja returned the gesture, noting the English words were being flawlessly translated into Xilari speech patterns. "Thank you for your welcome, though I must note our arrival was not voluntary." Admiral Chen smiled, an expression that Xilari understood from their studies of other mammalian species. "Yes, the Guardian Protocol can be rather insistent. Please, follow me. There is much to discuss." They were led through corridors that opened occasionally into vast interior spaces filled with vegetation and flowing water. Humans of various appearances moved about their business, some glancing curiously at the Xilari delegation, but most seeming unsurprised by their presence. "Your people don't seem startled by aliens walking among them," Nevaja observed. "Earth is home to representatives of over 300 non-human species," Chen replied casually. "Though I admit, you are the first Xilari to visit in a very long time." This casual revelation stunned the Xilari delegation. The Galactic Union had documented contact with only 42 spacefaring species in total, including extinct civilizations. They arrived at an open chamber with a panoramic view of Earth below, a breathtaking blue-green sphere partially obscured by the elegant lacework of orbital habitats. In the center of the room was a circular table where several other humans waited. "Please be seated," Chen invited them. "Can we offer refreshments suitable for your physiology?" "No, thank you," Nevaja replied, her caution reasserting itself. "Admiral Chen, I must ask directly, what is the purpose of bringing us here, and what do you intend for my crew and vessel?" Chen nodded appreciatively at the direct approach. "Captain, you inadvertently activated one of our Guardian vessels, autonomous sentinels placed throughout the galaxy to monitor potential threats and protect human interests. The Aegis system determined you posed no immediate danger but followed its programming to bring any contactors directly to Earth for assessment." "Assessment of what?" Korax asked, his security training evident in his posture. "Of your intentions, your technological capabilities, and your knowledge of humanity," another human at the table answered. This one was introduced as Dr. Elias Mbiki, Sino-historian. "More importantly," Chen continued, "your arrival has triggered a significant diplomatic event. You are representatives, willing or not, of the Galactic Union, an organization that humanity has observed from a distance for thousands of years." Vrillax's antennae twitched with sudden comprehension. "You've been watching us. All this time, you haven't been gone. You've been hiding." Chen exchanged glances with her colleagues before responding. "Not hiding, exactly. Strategically withdrawn. There is a distinction." She gestured, and a holographic display appeared above the table, a timeline showing the expansion and development of the Galactic Union alongside a parallel track representing human activity. 10,000 years ago, humanity emerged onto the galactic stage, Chen explained. "We were young, aggressive, expanding rapidly. Our first contacts with alien species were problematic. Misunderstandings occurred. Conflicts followed." "The dead zone," Nevaja whispered. The Forbidden Region. Chen nodded grimly. What you call the Dead Zone was once the frontier of human expansion. When the early Galactic Council demanded we halt our colonization efforts and submit to their authority, tensions escalated. Rather than engage in a potentially devastating war, humanity's leadership made a strategic decision. The hologram shifted to show human ships withdrawing from various star systems, pulling back toward Earth. We initiated the Great Retreat, Dr. Mbeki continued. We abandoned our outer colonies, leaving behind only automated guardian vessels programmed to appear dormant, but to watch and protect our interests. Meanwhile, we focused our energies inward, developing our home system to its maximum potential, advancing our technology, and observing the development of the Galactic Union from afar. For 10,000 years, Korax asked incredulously, why not re-establish contact? The time was never right, Chen replied simply. The early Union was hostile to our methods and ambitions. Later, as it stabilized and expanded, humanity debated returning to the galactic community. But there were always concerns. Would we be welcomed as equals? Would our advanced technology be seen as a threat? Could our cultures truly coexist peacefully? So instead, you watched us, Nevaja stated. Studied us without our knowledge or consent. Yes, Chen acknowledged without apology. Through our Guardian network, we monitored key developments throughout Union space. We studied your languages, your biology, your technologies. We prepared for the day when contact would inevitably be restored. And now that day has come, Vrillax observed, because we scanned your ship. Precisely, Chen confirmed. Your actions accelerated a process that was already underway. In truth, humanity has been preparing to re-emerge into galactic society for the past century. Your arrival simply moved up our timetable. Nevaja felt a chill run through her exoskeleton. The implications were staggering. An entire civilization, clearly more advanced than the Union in many respects, had been observing them for millennia, patiently waiting and watching. What happens now? She asked. Will you detain us? Use us as leverage against the Union? Chen looked genuinely surprised. Detain you? No, Captain. Once our initial discussions are complete, you and your crew will be free to return to Union space with an ambassador. You're sending an envoy with us. With your permission, Chen clarified. It's time for humanity to formally introduce ourselves to the Galactic Union. Properly, this time. Your ship would be the ideal means of facilitating this introduction. Korax shifted uneasily. The Union Council may not welcome this news. The revelation that humans have been secretly observing us for thousands of years will trigger security concerns at the highest levels. Understandably so, Chen agreed, which is why our ambassador will come prepared with gestures of good faith. Technological insights that could benefit all Union species, medical advances, terraforming methodologies. Bribes, essentially, Nevaja noted dryly. Chen smiled again, this time with what seemed like genuine amusement. Diplomatic incentives, Captain. A time-honored tradition across species. Before we discuss your return journey, Dr. Mbeki interjected, we would like to invite you and your crew to tour some of our facilities. We believe seeing humanity's accomplishments firsthand will help you convey the potential benefits of renewed relations to your superiors. Nevaja considered the offer carefully. Their forced journey here had been a violation of Union protocols and axillary autonomy, yet the opportunity to observe human civilization directly was unprecedented. The scientific and diplomatic value was immeasurable. We accept your invitation, she decided finally. But I want your assurance that my crew and vessel will be treated with respect and allowed to depart when these tours are complete. You have my word, Chen replied, touching her hand to her chest in what appeared to be a formal gesture. No harm will come to you or your people while under Earth's protection. Over the next 3 days, the Xilari crew was guided through a carefully selected series of human installations, both on the orbital nexus and, remarkably, on Earth itself. What they witnessed challenged everything they thought they knew about technological advancement. They observed quantum computing arrays that processed information at scales that made Union systems seem primitive by comparison. They toured medical facilities where nanoscale machines could rebuild damaged tissue atom by atom, extending human lifespans indefinitely. Most impressive were the terraforming simulations, demonstrating how humans had transformed Venus and Mars from hostile environments into garden worlds in just a few centuries. Throughout it all, their human hosts were unfailingly polite, answering questions openly, though Nevaja noted certain areas remained off-limits, particularly military installations. On their final evening, Admiral Chen hosted a formal reception for the Xulari delegation. As they observed the Earth setting below the horizon of the orbital station, Chen joined Nevaja at the viewport. "Your council will need to make a decision," Chen said without preamble. "Humanity is emerging from its isolation, one way or another. We would prefer to do so as partners rather than competitors." Nevaja's compound eyes studied the human admiral. "And if the council rejects your overtures, if they demand humans remain within Sol's system?" Chen's expression remained pleasant, but her voice took on a subtle edge. "Captain, what you've seen here represents only a fraction of human capability. We have respects, boundaries, and sovereignty. We demonstrated that by withdrawing rather than fighting 10 millennia ago. But we will not be confined." She gestured toward the bustling Earth below. "Our population grows. Our system, vast as it is, cannot sustain our civilization indefinitely. We will expand again, peacefully if possible, but we will expand." The implicit threat was clear. "You're asking me to be your advocate," Nevaja realized. "I'm asking you to be truthful," Chen corrected. "Tell your council what you've seen. Explain that humanity seeks cooperation, not dominance. Remind them that we chose retreat over conflict once before, but circumstances change." Nevaja felt the weight of unexpected history pressing down upon her. What had begun as a routine survey mission had transformed into perhaps the most significant diplomatic encounter in Union history. "I will convey your message accurately," she promised, "but I cannot predict how it will be received." Chen nodded, apparently satisfied. "That's all we can ask. Ambassador Torres will accompany you with formal proposals and gifts for the council. The rest will be up to them." As they prepared to depart the next morning, the Horizon Seeker was resupplied and its systems upgraded as a courtesy, though Nevaja suspected the improvements likely contained monitoring capabilities as well. The human ambassador, a poised woman named Lucia Torres, came aboard with only a small team and minimal cargo, though what that cargo contained remained carefully secured. Aegis remained interfaced with their ship's systems, but now as a navigator rather than a captor, guiding them back toward Union space along routes that Xulari had never charted. Standing on her bridge as Earth receded behind them, Nevaja contemplated the message she would deliver to the Union Council. Humanity had awakened from its self-imposed exile, armed with technologies and knowledge accumulated over 10 millennia of focused development. They offered partnership, but the iron beneath the velvet was unmistakable. "Captain," Vrillax said softly, joining her at the viewport, "do you believe they're sincere about peaceful coexistence?" Nevaja considered the question carefully. "I'd believe they prefer it," she answered finally, "but they've spent 10,000 years preparing for alternatives. That's not something we should forget." Ambassador Torres approached, having overheard the exchange. "If I may, Captain, humanity has indeed prepared for conflict, as any prudent species would. But what we truly excelled at during our isolation was building, creating, transforming. We would rather apply those skills alongside the Union than in opposition to it." The ambassador's words were diplomatic, her tone sincere. Yet, as the Horizon Seeker accelerated toward Union space with its fateful message, Nevaja couldn't help but recall the ancient warning. They requested cooperation. When denied, they did not request again. The coming days would determine whether that lesson from history would need to be relearned, or whether a new chapter of galactic cooperation was about to begin. Either way, the universe had changed forever the moment her sensors had touched that dormant guardianship, and whether the Galactic Union recognized it yet or not, humanity had returned to the stars.